Today we have the world's smallest action camera, the Insta360 Go 3, and we're gonna get the world's first ever look at it from the inside. Probably gonna be relatively difficult since it's sealed tight and waterproof to 16 feet. But the camera does do some pretty cool things. I hear the internal heat dissipation system has been upgraded. Huge thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring this video. It's always brave to let the entire world see how your product works from the inside. So let's get started. The new Insta360 Go 3 action camera has a very unique form factor. Initially, it arrives sitting inside something called an action pod, but with the click of a button, the Go 3 can detach and become its own standalone camera, with 45 minutes of battery life. At just 35 grams, it is extremely tiny, about the width of my finger. The cool part is that the action pod, with the camera detached, can then become a remote display using Bluetooth. The flip screen is able to see what the camera is doing from a distance and acts as a remote control for the Go 3. This was really helpful when I was using the camera to see the inside of my truck during my Rivian review. The tininess, while filming at 2.7K resolution, gives us a detailed view of places that would be otherwise very difficult to see, and gives us a more unique perspective than a larger camera could accomplish. The Go 3 is not just for video either. Among other things, we have time shift, time lapse, and time capture, for if you want footage at a certain time, like a sunrise or a star lapse, but don't actually want to wake up that early. Docked back into the action pod, which also doubles as a charger, it brings our total battery life up to about 3 hours. The action pod is able to clip into all the normal mounts we would see with action cameras, except for this time the mounts pull double duty, being able to attach to the Go 3 as well as the action pod for extra versatility. We have the suction mount, a hat clip, and a long winding monkey tail. The unique ability is when the Go 3 is undocked and able to magnetically attach to a pendant worn around my neck underneath my shirt, giving us a more first-person video game style view that I used when showing off how my Rivian doors hold water after a rainstorm. Speaking of which, the action pod itself is splash resistant and able to keep out water, so I wasn't all that worried when using the 120 frames per second to capture some water splashing in slow motion. When the camera is undocked from the action pod, however, and filming all by itself, it can withstand up to 16 feet of water, as long as you don't lose it. Small little tubes are basically impossible to find once they're lost in the water. The intense level of waterproofing is going to make it very difficult to get inside, but I'm sure we can find a way. The previous Go 2 had a time limit on clip recordings due to thermal throttling, but now with the Go 3, recordings are unlimited, and it'll be interesting to see how Insta360 has accomplished this heat dissipation. The exterior protective glass lens is very easy to unscrew and replace, definitely nice. There's also a button on the front of the Go 3 that can start and stop recordings, so we can commence our teardown right here under that front flap. Doesn't get us very far though, since this thing is very much sealed tight, with no screws, no clips, and no way for us to easily enter. The thick plasticky rubber bumper around the outside is also not wanting to come apart. So like I always say, sometimes violence is the answer. With a slight squish from my oversized pipe wrench, we can bust into the sealed enclosure. And only after prying off the back wireless charging magnetic back does the camera finally decide to turn itself off. And strangely enough, it looks like the Go 3 is actually using the rear magnetic mounting system as a heatsink, which makes a whole lot of sense when you think about it. Magnets are metal, and metal is a great conductor of heat. It's kind of a brilliant solution. The internal magnets are working double duty. Super cool, figuratively and literally. There are 3 more ultra tiny screws, tinier than even the screws most smartphones have. The gold Capdom tape can come off. Then we can unplug the battery and extension ribbons just like little Legos. We find the camera sensor ribbon literally glued to the backside of the motherboard. Smart of Insta360 to glue it in place, considering all the abuse and vibrations that action cameras go through. The battery comes out next. This is what gives the little unit its 45 minutes of runtime. It has 310 milliamp hours worth of energy, basically the same capacity as an Apple Watch. Going deeper, we find the lower circuit board, These boards help manage the flow state stabilization, horizon lock, and voice controls. We also have the copper plate that helps move heat back up to the magnets. With a bit more prying, we can unceremoniously decapitate the camera sensor from the lens. This guy is able to film in 2.7K, slow motion, time-lapse, star-lapse, and quite a few other modes. A lot of power and very small packaging. One of the more interesting modes is called free-frame video, where the camera uses its whole sensor to record footage, which can then be changed to horizontal, vertical, or square later on with the app. It's nice having some versatility and the ability to use the footage on more than one platform. Using the full sensor is also how the Go 3 manages its flow state stabilization. Imagine the red box being the final output, and the blue box is the full sensor size. Flow state stabilization keeps the footage professionally stabilized within the sensor, while the camera itself is jiggling and jittering around. The horizon lock feature is kinda similar, but instead of stabilizing footage to the camera, it stabilizes the footage to the horizon. Kinda nice for the more extreme stuff. And with the AI video editing ability in the 360 app, it can even stitch all the good clips of a fun day together automatically. The lens itself appears to be very permanently glued into the Go 3 housing. Oh wait, there are some screws. Like I always say, violence is never the answer. With 2 screws gone, we can see our cast metal camera bracket. This also doubles as another heatsink, as we can see from the thermal paste surrounding the lens housing. Air is an excellent insulator, so without the thermal paste allowing heat to move to the metal, the camera components would overheat, throttle, and turn off. I'm glad that with all this extra cooling, the Go 3 has no more recording time limits. There is one more inner portion of the lens that can be unscrewed, but the rather resilient exterior lens stays mounted to the camera body. It's good that there's an easily swappable glass lens on the outside, since the actual curved lens of the camera is very much permanent. Overall, I'm pretty impressed. The Go 3 makes for a very versatile sidekick, definitely not meant to replace a main filming camera, but it does great at getting into small places and getting more unique and otherwise impossible to get perspectives. There is no expandable internal storage, but with its tiny form factor and waterproof rating, it makes sense. Plus, having onboard storage means no more forgetting your memory. But the Go 3 has 32, 64, and 128 GB options. It'll be a fun addition to my camera arsenal, except for now I have to buy another one. Speaking of which, if you're curious about current pricing or want to get one for yourself, I'll leave a link down in the description. And as always, thanks a ton for watching, and I'll see you around.